Speech and comprehension is our lesson for today. The topic is very clear. It says speech and comprehension. But now, for one to comprehend is when somebody is talking, comprehend. And when somebody is talking to you, you're doing what? You are listening. Remember, I spoke about the 4 skills of language, and listening is the second one. Now, listening and speaking skills in English, it's very important. Not necessarily speak if you can't hear, if you don't listen. And you cannot say you comprehend if you don't understand what we are talking about. If I can start talking to you in a language that you have never heard, say Venda, if you're Venda, or maybe Shona, it's a language, yes, the syllables are there, but if you don't understand, you won't be able to comprehend what I'm trying to say. Now, you've got to be able to comprehend, meaning you've got to listen when somebody is speaking. You've got to listen to yourself when you are when you are talking to other people so that they understand you. Right now, you are all quiet, you are listening, and you hear what I am saying. That's listening skill. You comprehend. I've just asked you to please participate when I ask questions, or you must be able to ask me questions or clarify. Be free to do that. You comprehend, you hear what I'm saying, and you interpret it in your mind properly. Okay? Now, our principal means of communication and the first language skill we learn by nature are listening and speaking. In my last slides, I explained that when a child is born, this child is listening. The only thing that the child can do is to listen, because the child can hear sounds. Sounds from where? From the people surrounding him or her, especially the mother. Then after listening to the sounds, this child is going to mimic the sounds that is speaking. The child is going to speak, even if she doesn't know what she's saying, or we don't. She is mimicking what she hears when the child goes da 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 da, whatever sound the child is saying or is trying to say is what is in the child's mind. That's the sound that she or he has heard from those surrounding him or her. Now, it is important that when
America right now. Eerie food is coming out of
please keep your mics off, please. Try to keep your mics off. Hi, Greg. How are you? Welcome back.
Hi, Doc. I'm fine. And yourself?
Thank you. It's good to hear your voice again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm continuing class. When we say a child mimics, it's the sound that is in the child's head. They are also perhaps the most difficult skills in comparison to reading and writing. Listening and speaking are the difficult ones as compared to reading and writing. Because when you read, you will be taught that this is an A, R. You will be taught that this is a B and how it is written. But when it comes to, and before they can do that, before we can teach you A, before we can teach you A, B, C, D, you must be able to hear us when we teach you, to say, you understand, you comprehend, because you are listening. And after listening, you say the same words that I'm saying, or the syllables are, you say are to A, you say A. Z, you say Z, just like that. So that is why they say listening and speaking are they're looked at as the most difficult skills as compared to reading and writing. Okay. Our experience of listening begins around 4 months. Before we are even born, when our ears develop and we can hear the voice of our mother and of others around us. I've just mentioned that. The child, that is why children are able to manipulate the adults. They start from that age. I always say from 3 months. The child starts to manipulate the parents from 3 months. I don't know whether you have observed that, but it is just like that, because now the child knows the sound of the mother, the child knows the warmth of the mother, the child knows the warmth of the father and the voice of the father. Now, when this child is able to see, this child sees the mom's face whilst she's breastfeeding or whatever way. And when the mother is busy singing lullaby to the child, this child interprets the voice of the mother. And the child will know the voice of the mother. This child too can know that's my mother who's talking. The child will easily know and pick up if the mother is around. That is why when the child cries and the mother comes in and pick her up, she keeps quiet. She knows that she is in safe hands. Now, when I say they manipulate, when the child cries, she start or he start. I keep on saying she because I only gave birth to girls. So she will start by saying, and then look at the mother and see how is the mother going to respond. And then the next time that turns to, then she observes again what is happening. They all run towards him. Then after some time, she goes, wah, screaming more. Then she observed that, oh, now the whole house is tumbling down to give her attention. This child is going to do that all the time to get this attention. The minute they don't give that attention, the child is going to do those sounds because she knows that, oh, when I do this, they run. When I do this, they pick me up quickly. When I don't do that, they don't pick me up quickly. So the child manipulates the mother or the parents or the people around her or him. And that is why the adults will always say, don't always hold your child. I don't know how they expect you to raise your child and breastfeed, but they will always, this child must not always be carried. They just say that, but it's not possible. You have to be with your child or talk to your child. And the more you talk to your child, that's how the child will learn the language from you, because the child is going to mimic what you are saying. Then from the first minutes of life as a baby, you start to listen to sounds and voices and eventually begin to associate them with what you see. You begin to associate them with what you see. If you say to the child, mama, mama, and calling yourself, she's going to do that. If you say papa, 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 she's going to do that. By the age of 2, you have already learned a lot of vocabulary by listening intently to your parents and family members, and you have practiced copying the sounds and can produce many words clearly. Remember, in all the slides that we have been doing, I've been saying, please pick up the words that you don't use every day, and that is your vocabulary. When you learn any language, you will only know this language by collecting vocabulary. That is, the words that are used. For instance, in the slide, the word like intently, Ask yourself, what is intently? It's from intention, intent. How do I use it? You collect vocabulary, and then you go to your dictionary, or you check what is the meaning of this intent. How can I use it? Then you go to your grammar and say, oh, is this a verb? Is this you classify it accordingly, because now you know your speech, you know your grammar, you are able to can differentiate words as you learn. I hope so. I hope you have learned that you can verify what a noun is, what a pronoun, a verb, a conjunction, and so on and so on. Speech and comprehension. I hope you have already asked yourself, what is comprehension? You know, when you were at primary school and high school, there was this period of comprehension time. And the teacher will say, today we are doing comprehension. Even in the CAPS document, somewhere, especially in the languages, you'll find that there is a period for comprehension. But comprehension is there all the time. Speech is there all the time. For as long as you are alive, you comprehend. For as long as you are alive and breathing, you have speech. Even if you don't talk, you collect speech by looking at things, by reading, by hearing, listening to TV, radio, whatever. You are speaking, you hear speech, you comprehend. When you sing your music, you comprehend. There is speech there. You are talking, because there's no one who can sing without speaking. There's no one who can write music without speaking. So speech is very important, and comprehension. We learn what language is, including its features and characteristics. We did that. And if you missed these lessons, please go to the first slides that we started with, just to remind yourself what we were talking about. Then you go even to the characteristics of language. In some slides, I've even given some pictures there to try to illustrate to you how simple it is for you to understand the language and apply it. We focused on language and its structure, specifically on the basic structure of a sentence, specifically on the basic structure of a sentence. So the structures also, I gave lots and lots of examples. I gave that one of the cone, if you can remember. Just visit the slides. They are very clear. I take it they are very clear, because you never asked me to clarify or to do whatever. So they can help you, for you to understand this one, speech and comprehension. The importance of making a distinction between letters of the alphabet and speech sounds, and deriving meaning from text. Can someone tell me, pick up a word that you throw in your vocabulary box there, please? Any word that you pick up as I'm talking. Which one have you picked up? Any word that you have picked up to throw in your vocabulary box? Dino, is there a word that you picked up?
Deriving, ma'am.
Sorry?
Deriving. I don't know.
Deriving, yes. Dino picked up deriving. How the skills are related and how they are linked to comprehend. The importance of making a distinction between the letter sounds and deriving meaning from text. Okay? How they are linked to comprehend. So if you say you know a language, or you can speak a you will dive in and you'll find yourself using the language correctly. Grammar, as we started, you know how to structure words, you know how to structure sentences, and you know how to deduce the meaning of the words. Communication skills: speaking, listening, writing, and reading. This I've been mentioning from the beginning, that speaking, listening is a communication skill. Writing and reading, communication skills. But they come as they are. Listening, we are busy with it. So we will look at what has been, how these skills are related and how they are linked to comprehend. These skills, they call them skills. It's a skill for you to speak. It's a skill for you to write. It's a skill for you to read. Why are they called a skill? People speak better than others. A speech. They speak eloquently. They speak in such a way that everybody should be attentive. Don't do that. They don't have that skill. There are people who dare you. If you are a public speaker, they give you classes, they give you lessons how to talk, that you don't talk, you know, the language differently. They train you to be able to be a public speaker. I know in the past that whoever is in the public, like the president, their secretaries, their deputies, everyone who is to give speeches publicly, for the municipalities, needs speech is written down. This person going to say it, it's a skill. So I was saying, I hope you have all looked at the president when he is giving his speech, addressing the nation. He is giving it in such a way that we all understand, we all hear. Whether he has been trained on that or not, I don't know. But for what I know, there are people who train and groom you to be a good public speaker. There are people who train and groom you to be a good writer. If you are writing an article, you go to people who will help you how to put your article in order in a newspaper. Maybe you are a journalist. If you are an academic, we have people who are supervisors who will be there to help us, because they were also helped. I was also helped by my supervisor and the editors and everybody else. Two skills acquire when they learn a language. I spoke about that from the first slide. Human beings acquire a language, and once a language has been acquired, can be taught to read and write. That is why we say speaking and listening are more important than writing and reading. Who can speak, they listen and they can speak, but cannot write, because they were never taught to write. There are people who read and write. By the way, what do we call them? What is the term that is used for people who cannot read and write, who never went to school? They are somebody. What do we call them? What do we call them, Patricia? People who never went to school to learn to read and write? They are illiterates. Yes, correct. You are correct, but I hope because they cannot read and write. Didn't hear properly, and I try to the earphones. I'm putting on the earphones now. Maybe it will be better, but that's not the case of the earphone that is coming and going. How is it there now? Can you hear me better? So we call them illiterates. We established that it is important for someone to know written symbols before she or he can read and write. Remember, that is why I said any person can talk. Because sounds. Any person can talk, and any person can read and write unless this person goes to school, unless this person is taught to read and write. That is to know the symbols, the syllables that we spoke about for so long in the past lessons, that the syllables are very important. When you join them, you know that you are writing a sentence or you are saying a word. Remember when we were doing the word, I said a word can give meaning on its own. When I say stand up, or when I say stand or sit, it's just one word. Sit is just one word. Stand, but it has got its own meaning. It talks by itself without looking for other syllables to make it a sentence. I am standing, or I stand. I is a pronoun, but the word stand can be used on its own. It gives instruction. Okay. Are we still okay there? Class, are we still fine? We are still fine. Thank you. Thank you, Dino. Right. Now, communication skills continue. The skills or ability to read and write are called literacy skills. I've highlighted that. The ability, the skills. If you read and write, that skill, those skills are called literacy skills. You can read and write. You've got literacy skills. You are not. Can you see where the illiterate is from? Throw it in your vocabulary box. Illiterate, it means you cannot read and write. You don't have literacy skill. Literacy skills. By contrast, listening and speaking are called literacy skills from oral. When a child is born, they check everything. They make sure that this child can see, this child can feel, this child can hear, checking all these organs. So the oracy skills and the literacy skills are there. If not, the child must be taken care of and check what is wrong. Is there anything? While listening and reading both require comprehension skills, many of which overlap, the application vary somewhat. So if you say you comprehend something, it depends on the context also. What is it that you are hearing? What is it that you are learning? What is it that you want to hear? Depends on the context. Now, maybe I'll find joy. The second paragraph. While building comprehension skills through listening can also boost reading comprehension, there are additional benefits in comprehension skills directly using audio passages that are designed to be heard.
after listening comes speaking. There is no way that you can write before you can listen and speak. Because from speaking, you'll be able to understand when this is explained, anything is explained to you. I think on my slide 2, I clearly explained this fully. As we said above, you learn how to speak by hearing words and copying them. And you learn how to construct longer sentences and tell stories by hearing others and trying yourself. Learning how to speak requires lots of experimentation, trying, making mistakes, correcting your speech. Remember when you started, I said, let us all try to talk. Let us all try to understand, get clarity of what we are doing. Because if you don't try, you won't be able to know whether you understand or not. You only know because every learner needs to learn by trying, by experimenting, by making mistakes and correct your speech. Every time when you hear a word, I said, put it in your vocabulary box so that you are able to can use it somewhere if you want to use it, if you know the meaning. But you will never be able to use any new word if you don't know the meaning of any word. Okay? So that is why it's important that you understand when I say put something in your vocabulary box so that in future your vocabulary grows. It grows automatically as I'm talking. There are words that are registering in your head, in your mind, and you'll be able to can join them and construct a sentence. Okay? My next slide. Listening. Remember, I explained listening is the first skill of any language. Listening is the first skill of any language. Now, we expect you to comprehend, to understand what you are hearing. Because it is a skill of understanding spoken language by human beings. This is about many tasks daily. As are working and studying and are parents at the same time. Some of us are just studying because parents gave us the privilege of studying and completing what you are studying. Some of us study, but they don't take time to comprehend what they are studying. Some of us study and comprehend everything, putting into detail everything, so that they, when they write the exams, then they come up with distinctions because they put everything in their mind. But now, when you put whatever you are taking in your mind, you have to make sure that you understand. You are not just memorizing. You are not just taking from the slide or the textbook and memorize and wait for the answer or for the question to come so that you can answer exactly that same way. No, it doesn't happen that way. We don't ask questions that way. We ask questions to see if you can apply. Questions are asked to see if you can use what you have learned, the theory that you have learned. Can you apply it? You have heard me talking about listening. You listened when I was talking about the vocabulary. You listened when I was talking about speech. You listened when I spoke about comprehension. But now, can you comprehend? When you comprehend, that's when you take the word and put it into action. You just don't take the word and say, I know comprehension. Yeah, comprehension, the way Mem said it, I know it. It doesn't mean that way. We don't say you should do it that way. We expect you to use the word comprehend in a proper sentence, to use the word comprehend in a speech, in a way that everybody can understand what you are saying. Now, we listen a variety of sounds and messages. For example, what someone says when we talk about specific subject. I've been asking you, can someone, at least that's someone who can say, I understand or I don't get it when you say this, to show that people are listening, they understand what I'm saying when I talk. I know you hear me. I know you understand, but I don't know how deep you understand until you tell me that I didn't get. Tell me of anything that you listen to or anything you read most of the time. Is there anything that registers in your mind every day? Either listening to the news or listening to music. In which way are you able to can interpret things in your mind? Anyone try? Obviously, you are doing stuff every day. You are listening to music every time. What are you listening every day? What builds your vocabulary every day? Let me put it that way. What builds your vocabulary? Then only one person answered by saying listening to music. The rest did not answer or just say something. Purpose of listening. Can I ask, why do we have to listen? Why is it important that we listen? Language is about exchanging words because we talk. Casually or informally. We even talk when we are in class. We need to talk. Now we are too quiet. Anyone wanting to try? The purpose of listening. Why do we have to listen? Say something. There are many reasons why we may want to listen to spoken language. Do you want to tell me that there's no reason that why you are listening right now? You do have a reason why you are listening right now, okay? It could be to gain information. That's what we are doing right now. To make certain distinctions between sounds or to engage critically with a spoken text. In the following section, we'll discuss the purpose of listening. The reason why is it so important that one should listen? What is the purpose? If you are busy collecting your words, purpose. Do you know the meaning of purpose? Yes, Kurtzen, you say, so we know what to do. Thank you. We know what to do. Do we all know the meaning of the word purpose? I don't want to go to details of purpose. What is in grammatically what is purpose? I just want to know if you understand or you know the meaning of the word purpose. Nothing. Or you don't want to try. Okay, then I'm going to continue class. If you're still quiet or still thinking, I don't know. But our class has just started. You can tell me that you are tired. It could be to gain information, to make certain distinctions between sounds, or to engage critically with a spoken text. So we are going to discuss the purpose. Let me come to this one. Look at those skills. Can you see the skills in blue? The comprehension skills. One, recognizing literal meaning, understanding vocabulary, making inferences, identifying main idea, determining purpose, analyzing reasoning, drawing conclusions, finding evidence. These are listening comprehension skills. Remember, we spoke about this, that speaking, listening are the most important. Then I came to say, when you are able to can read and write, you have literacy skills. But when you can listen and speak, you have oracy skills. Your vocal cords are working, your oral is working. But literacy skills, you need to be taught as compared to listening and speaking. Listening and speaking, actually, you teach yourself from childhood, from 3 months. You teach yourself to listen, you teach yourself to speak. But for you to read and write, you've got to go to school, or your parents should start teaching you how to read, how to write. So literacy skills you only get when you are taught. But oracy skills, you teach yourself by mimicking, by copying, by hearing sounds. By imagine if a child can grow in an environment where there are no people. This child doesn't know any communication. This child doesn't know what to do when the child, say the child is 2 years old, she's told sit down. She doesn't know what is sit down because she has never heard of such words. So then I said, listening is very important. And the purpose of listening, why should we listen? For us to have the literal meaning, for us to understand vocabulary, for us to make inferences, to identify the main idea, determine purpose, analyzing reasoning, drawing conclusions, finding evidence. All of this, I can quickly ask you to say, which one are we doing right now? Pick one of the skills that you think we are busy with right now in this class. Pick up anyone. From recognizing literal meaning. Can you see the close and open inverted commas there? It's a way of saying when you see this inverted commas close and open, somebody is talking. The literal meaning of the word is in there. Then you see the capital A and the small a. Under it is understanding vocabulary. Vocabulary is built by letters. And these letters will give you a word. The word vocabulary down there, understanding, understand, understanding, it's a word on its own. Vocabulary is a word on its own. And now look at the third one, making inferences. And the three dots. When you see this, when you read, you expect some kind of continuation that, oh, this sentence is not complete. There are three dots there that tells me that I need to read more, or it's continuing. So you are making inferences, identifying the main idea. Can I again ask, what is the main idea of us meeting tonight? The main idea of us, because that's the main idea you are here. Do you know why we are here? Answer or try to answer. You don't know why you are here. I'm just trying to say, please, when you receive the slide, go through them, because somewhere I think you are losing me and you cannot hear me because it kicks me out. Then after some time it comes back. But I'm encouraging you to please go through the slides and see if you can make use of them or understand them if you are sitting in this class. Thank you very much. I'm continuing. I was on identifying the main idea. Yes, somebody answered. Then determining purpose. Determining purpose. Is there any purpose that we are sitting here tonight? Any purpose? Any purpose that why we are here? Analyzing, reasoning, drawing conclusions, and finding evidence. These are all listening comprehension skills that we all have, that we all use, that we all make sure that we apply them at all times. You cannot go to work without any purpose of going to work. If you go and work, yes, you want to have a better life by earning a salary and live accordingly. But the deepest purpose of you going to work is to apply your skills. You have skills that you were trained for, or you have skills that you have learned at school. You have skills that you hear other people telling you that, oh, actually, you are a netball player. Look how your body stands. Look how you walk. You look like a netball player. And you decide to be a netball player. So you determine your purpose by so doing. You decide to be a netball player because it's only now that you realize that, oh, okay, my body, tall as I am, I have a purpose. So I'm determining my purpose by doing what? Using it the right way. I was saying you cannot wake up, go to class or to school or go to work without any purpose. You determine your purpose. I've started this class now at 6. My purpose is to give you information about the speech and comprehension. That's my purpose. That's my main purpose, for you to understand that speech and comprehension go together. You cannot talk about the other one and cannot use the other one, because when I speak, you comprehend. When I speak, you listen. When I speak, you try to understand what I am saying. You are comprehending. And then from there, you draw a conclusion to say, oh, okay, if I want to listen better, this is what I need to do. I want to listen because I want to comprehend. Now, for me to get that in order is for me to listen properly. It's for me to listen more or read more until you find evidence of what you are learning. Right now, you are learning, and the only evidence that you can show that you have learned is when you answer questions, either orally or verbally, or by writing exams or class tests or whatever way. That's the evidence that you will be finding that, yes, I have learned. You know, when you are listening to someone talking, sometimes you are not listening. You are just looking, but you are not listening. And you are not aware that you are not listening. I don't know whether have you ever experienced that class. I don't know whether you have ever experienced being in a situation where you are supposed to listen and you are not listening. You find yourself just there. So you listen because you have this purpose. You want evidence. You have this purpose of listening. Now, everything that I have been showing you in that blue picture, here it is now. Key listening comprehension skills, recognizing literal meaning. Now I'm explaining it to say questions about facts, details, or information explicitly stated in the video, in the audio story. I've been giving you facts. I've been giving you information. I go into details. I've been asking questions. So that is, you come to have to recognize the literal meaning of this class because of the things that I've just mentioned. Facts, details, information, and what you are hearing. Then understanding vocabulary. Questions about the meaning of words as they are used in the context of the audio story. Right now, as I'm talking, since we are not face to face, you don't see me, I don't see you. You are using your skills to listen to me. First of all, the skill of listening. You are listening. Then the skill of understanding what am I saying. When you listen, you want to understand. That is, you are now going to comprehend what I am trying to say. It's a skill. Now, when you hear that, it means you understand vocabulary. And vocabulary gives you what? Meaning of words as they are used in the context. Meaning of words. You know, you cannot just listen and not understand what I am saying. The meaning of what I'm saying is very important. When I ask you if you understand and you say yes, I will know that you understand and you are moving towards interpreting what you understand. Okay? Then making inferences, asking students to make inferences as they listen to audio stories. Because of this bad signals and so on, I cannot even ask you to read something for me or to read something for the class to show that you understand, just to make inferences. To read what you are saying, and then we listen to what you are reading, and we interpret it and make sure that we interpret it accordingly as to what you said. Then it goes beyond literal meaning. Identifying main idea. Questions asking students to identify the central idea or the gist of an audio story. I've already asked you why. What is the main idea of you being here? And Kurtzen answered, why are you here? It's the main idea to come and listen or to get information or to understand better. Then we come to the determining purpose. Questions asking students to determine the purpose of the audio story. I asked you the purpose of us being here. I don't want to go to the audio story or whatever. I'm just asking you practically, why are we here? What is the purpose of us being together for 2 hours? We are together. What is the purpose? Do you understand the purpose of us being here? I think you now come to understand what is this speech and comprehension is all about. You understand them. Now, drawing conclusions. Questions asking students to draw conclusions by synthesizing information in an audio. When you draw conclusions, you draw inferences. You listen to me talking and you draw your own conclusion to say, this lesson, it's not for me. This lesson, I don't understand. Or no, this lesson is fine. I'll read the tutorial guide. I will read the study guide. I'll be fine. I don't need anyone to help me to understand what is in the study guide. You draw conclusions now. You synthesize the information that, yes, the information I can hear. I hear what's all about, but I would love to read it from my sources so that I can draw inferences about listening comprehension skills. Class, I hope we understand each other. I hope you hear what I am trying to say, that you must always listen. Any question? Okay, let's continue. Drawing conclusions, we have just done that. Analyzing reasoning. Students to analyze reasoning supporting a claim in an audio story. What is how do you analyze what I'm saying? I'm an audio myself because I'm talking and I expect you to answer these questions as we go about. That what does it mean when we say analyzing reasoning supporting a claim? I claim here that you are here to learn the language. You are here to improve your listening skills and comprehend well. So when you analyze, you see that, okay, how will I improve my comprehension skills? Maybe that question is not answered yes, but it's in your mind. You put it aside. Then we come to finding evidence. Finding evidence. If there's evidence of what I have been doing, there is nothing wrong with you. And at all times, you must always make sure that the evidence that the students pick up from you are real. You didn't just draw inferences from nowhere. They are real. Finding evidence. Questions asking students to identify statements or details in an audio story that provide evidence to support claims or conclusion. I will say, I'm not having this audio story that we could have all listened or somebody played for us, but what I have been saying fulfills all these key listening skills. because I'm saying you will find evidence in what you are doing. You'll find evidence in what you are saying at all times, so that you are comfortable when it comes to listening comprehension. You are comfortable even if you are to apply this somewhere at your workplace or your study place or wherever. Your skills won't be challenged. Your skills will be your comprehension skills as they are. Any question? Any question? Is there a question somewhere? Or comment, remark, whatever? If there is nothing, let us continue. Right. Communication skills as receptive and productive. Communication skills as receptive and productive. Remember, after these skills, you know, the comprehension skills that you have gathered all over just like that, then we come to say communication skills are receptive and they are productive. What do you understand by that line? They are receptive and productive. Anybody try? What do you understand by communication skills being receptive and productive? Patricia, try. Kurtzen, try. You have been trying. Patricia, you have been trying too. Your classmates are gone, disappeared. What do you think? Hmm? Not even trying, at least. Not even trying. So let's continue. Receptive skills are listening and reading. Productive skills, on the other hand, refer to speaking and writing. Remember this slide when I said literacy skills. When I come to this one, literacy skills are what? Listening. No. Let me go back there. Literacy skills, reading and writing. Oracy skills are these ones that we are talking about. Listening and reading, and productive skills, speaking and writing. Speaking and writing are called oracy skills. And then we come to listening and reading, that is literacy skills. You are able to can read and write. And when you can read and write, we say you have receptive skills. You have receptive skills because you are able to can listen and read. But when we say you've got productive skills, you are able to can speak and write. When we engage our productive skills, we use language to produce texts such as speeches, poems, or essays. It's very important for you to do that. As a scholar, as a writer, whether you are a teacher or nurse or a soldier, it doesn't matter. You have to have the skills at all times. You have to have the skills. I'm still checking again if there are questions or concerns. Nothing from you. Okay. Let's move on from the receptive skills and productive skills, which is the same as literacy skills and oracy skills. I hope you are busy picking up vocabulary that you are throwing in your vocabulary box so that you can say, I learned something tonight. If you know receptive is from receive, productive is from produce. Comprehension skills, comprehension listening. We cannot comprehend spoken language if we do not know how the system of that language is arranged and what its words mean. That is why we started all the way back with the systems of a language. How is English arranged? How are words composed? How do we go about with the language before we can comprehend the language that is spoken to us? Every person comes with a language in his or her head. The vocabulary is there. It can be the vocabulary from mother tongue. It can be the vocabulary that we have learned, like we are learning English. It can be the vocabulary that you picked up at school, or you picked it up from your friends that you speak about these things. Now, our comprehension of spoken language requires an understanding of the rules of that language, including how sentences are built or structures. We did this a lot in different ways to show you how a language and sentences are built and structured. Now, today I say how you comprehend those sentences. How do you comprehend those rules? How do you understand those sentences and their rules and using them as a language? Before we say this is a language, we have gone through all those structures, the grammar part, how to use them. It's very, very crucial that you understand them. Then we can say you have a language that you use. You have a language that you understand. And you can use it by talking. Then later you are able to write it. Comprehending and understanding meaning requires us to know vocabulary and rules of that language. Okay, I think I've stressed this enough. Even after 5 years, you'll still remember this, that comprehending something, you have to know the vocabulary. You have to have enough vocabulary. I think one day I once explained to you that I struggled with the vocabulary of English because I didn't have it as my basic, and the language that I had was Afrikaans and the Setswana that I was around those people. Then I ended up having enough vocabulary in both Setswana and Afrikaans and not in English. So for me to comprehend English was for me to study, to make sure that I have enough vocabulary to can say, I can now hear when they speak in English. I am now able to interpret words when they speak in English. Comprehending or understanding meaning requires us to know vocabulary and rules of a language. You are also at that stage, or even more than that, you'll be able to can answer those questions. If there are no questions, I move to the next slide. If there are no questions, I move to the next slide. It's fine. Discriminative listening. Now, whilst you are comprehending, whilst you are busy comprehending and understanding what is happening, you've got what we call a brain. The language and the vocabulary goes to your brain. They don't go anywhere else except in your brain. And when they go to your brain, you are able to can check if you are able to can interpret. So comprehension listening, we cannot comprehend spoken language if we don't know how the system of that language, I repeated that, our comprehension of spoken language requires an understanding of the rules, comprehending or understanding meaning of that. Now, whilst the mind is doing that, our mind is able to can choose. You know, we can choose what we want to hear and what we don't want to hear. That is why we say every human being has got a discriminative listening. You discriminate, you manipulate your brain by saying, Sipeka is talking, I'm just going to be there but not listening. Because you don't want to listen. You tell your mind that you are not going to listen or you don't want to listen. I always use this when I'm in church. When I'm in church and I find that the preacher, I don't understand what the preacher is preaching about, I apply my discriminative listening by just being there to show some respect, but I'm not involved in the speech sounds that I hear. Do you understand what I'm saying, class? I'm there, but I manipulate the situation. I apply my discriminative listening power by listening but not hearing. This involves differentiating between different speech sound. For example, being able to tell whether the language being spoken is English or your mother tongue. You are discriminating listening tells you that, oh, now this person is speaking English, or this person is speaking Setswana, this person is speaking isiZulu. So, because your mind is now built like that, you grow up hearing all these sounds. You grow up understanding your mother tongue because you have been hearing mother tongue from the people surrounding you. Now, when somebody speaks, you already know that this person speaks in your mother tongue or this person speaks in English. If you don't know, you have never heard Afrikaans, you won't be able to can say, oh, now this language is Afrikaans. But if you have enough vocabulary or a little bit of Afrikaans vocabulary in your head, your mind will quickly tell you that, oh, the language that is spoken up there is Afrikaans. That is what we are talking about when we say discriminative listening. And I gave an example that you can manipulate your language, listening language also. You can just manipulate it that I'm not going to listen to this. When somebody is talking and you don't understand or you don't want to hear what this person is talking about, maybe this person is using insultive words or saying things that you don't like, you can just switch off and not listen. But being there, you are discriminating. You are using your discriminative listening. You have that ability. Every human being has got that. You have that ability. That is why when you talk to children or to some adults to say, how I'm greeting you, and this person just keeps quiet, it doesn't mean this person doesn't hear you. Maybe this person just doesn't want to talk to you. So we say this person is applying his or her discriminative listening. This person is applying his discriminative listening. So you've got to understand the situation here or not here. And it won't be wise if you go to a movie. Say you decide to go to a movie with your friends And when you get there, the language spoken is Chinese. You can see the pictures happening, but you can't hear what they are saying. You are definitely can't hear what they are saying. Oh, now it's kicking me out again. Sorry. Oh, thank you. It's good when you see action and you hear these people talking. It gives you that sound tells you what is happening, even if you see the pictures, but you want to hear as they talk what they are saying. If what you hear if what you hear sounds unfamiliar, it means you cannot understand what is being said. I've just given an example of that. If a Chinese speaker walked along the streets of Durban in South Africa, where people mainly speak isiZulu, he should instantly be able to tell that the language being spoken was certain, because I can't even give one word in Chinese. I don't know how they say it, let alone to read their letters. You don't know, understand how they interpret their letters. They write in a different way. So you cannot make head or tail of what they are saying. The vocabulary of any language that you hear. Yes, at least it doesn't take me for too long. It comes back. Now you must be able really to be discriminative in your mind. When you go on with your studies, you will come to learn and understand. Those who, if there were students here who are doing psychology, they would understand me when I say you can manipulate your own mind and do things that you want to do with your mind, being amongst people. If you don't want to hear the vocabulary or you don't understand the vocabulary, I can manipulate it. If there are no questions, I'm moving to the next slide. Okay. 6 stages in the listening process. Now, we are listening. By the way, we are still on our speech and comprehension. It is for you to understand that speech and comprehension goes together. All the slides that I've been mentioning, that I've been dealing with, are about speech and comprehension. Now, we have stages of listening process. Why is it important for us to listen? You'll remember, it is for us to communicate. It is for us to comprehend. But you can only comprehend, you can only communicate if you comprehend. But how are you going to comprehend? By listening when somebody is talking. You will be able to comprehend. If you are not listening, you won't be able to comprehend. And when you are listening, you are using your hearing aids, your ears. Those are your hearing aids, your ears. Those who studied biology, those who are studying biology, you know the ear, what is in the ear, what makes us hear from the ear. Hearing is related to the response instigated by sound waves in our ears. That's hearing. We do not necessarily pay attention to every sound we hear. Our brains select and pay attention to what needs to be focused on. Remember, I've given you an example of church, that If I'm at church and I don't understand the pastor or the person who's preaching, I don't pay attention. I tell my brain, select, close this one. I don't want to hear this. So I don't focus, but I'm there, just like school children do. They can sit there, in class, especially the teenagers, grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, they can sit there and not say anything. They don't even hear you. Or they can start chatting. They can start saying their own things because they've manipulated their brains not to pick up your vocabulary as a teacher. You are busy trying to teach them maths. They are not interested, but they are not interested on purpose. It's not to say they don't want to be interested. They are just not interested on purpose because they think they know, maybe. The next stage is attention. That's the second stage. To what needs to be focused on. Those are the things we feel we need to attend. Your mind, again, you tell your mind, I want to be attentive. I want to listen now. And you keep quiet and listen to the vocabulary and you draw inferences. You listen to what is being said, and at the same time, you do this. At the same time, you recognize, you understand the vocabulary, you are making inferences, you want to listen deeper. Why is the teacher telling us about this? Sure. It's kicked me out, but I'm back again now. Now you draw all these inferences now. Drawing. The other time I was doing critical skills and reactive skills and so on. I said, if I was in class with you face to face, I would be able to draw my own inferences by just looking at you, how you respond to what I'm saying, looking at your body level, looking at your eyes. That will give me some kind of idea. How do you perceive? How do you understand the vocabulary that I'm trying to teach you? So that's nothing else but the listening comprehension. Your body language will make me listen. It's body language, but it's talking. You are saying something about your eyes. You are saying something about your hands. You are saying something about your whole body. If you are restless, I'll be able to see that you are restless now. You are just tired, or you don't understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, class? Let me go back to the skills. Attention is the second stage that you need to be attentive. Then we go to understanding, which is the third stage. By the way, stages of listening process. Which is the third stage? Is when you examine what we have heard and try to make sense of it. This can include sounds, a baby crying, glass breaking, the screech of a vehicle slamming on the brakes. Background knowledge is important for us to interpret what we hear. I won't be able to say this sound, it's a sound of a baby crying. If I don't have that background, that I've never had a baby cry, I've never experienced breaking. So that sound won't say anything to me. I'll just hear that this is a funny sound. I don't know what is it. But if you once heard the sound of a glass breaking, fell on the floor. Yeah. I'm struggling, class, but we'll get there. get there. When you are on the road and you hear the screech of a vehicle slamming brakes, then you just know that somebody nearly was involved in an accident. Now the brakes tells you that this person tried by all means to apply the brakes at the highest level to avoid an accident. It doesn't matter what type of an accident, but you know the sound and you can analyze it. Background knowledge is important for us to interpret what we hear. If I'm sitting here and somebody starts screaming outside, obviously I'm going to think, why is this person screaming? Is there anyone been bitten here? Is there anyone who's been chased, running away, or what is happening? Because somebody's screaming. I'm able to can interpret what is happening around. Any sound that I hear, I can interpret it because of the background. I have enough vocabulary. I have experience of baby crying. I have an experience of an adult crying, or I have the experience of a dog barking, and I'm able to even can say, is it a big dog or is just a puppy? It's a small puppy. It's not a big one, but I can hear that there's a dog barking. It's just a puppy. I'm not scared of puppies. Or it's a big dog. That sound, it's the background. You have the background knowledge of that sound. So you interpret it according to how you hear it. Class, are you still with me or you are all sleeping now? Are you still there? Show me with your hand. Thank you, Kurtzen. Patricia, where are you? Are you still there with me? Patricia, are you there? Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's continue. I'm glad that you are here. And I hope that you are gathering information, you are collecting vocabulary, you are going somewhere with this speech comprehension. Now, hey, to remember is very important. You remember what was said, very important. It's an important aspect of listening because it means that a person has stored the message, forgotten. It will not be forgotten. However, because our attention can be selective, so can our memories. We do not remember everything we hear and as a human being brain that I don't want to remember anything that is hurting. If something hurt me somehow, I don't want to remember. I can give an example. I don't want to remember when I buried my mom. It's something painful and it's something negative to me. I don't want to remember it. But I want to remember the day my mom threw a birthday party for me. That's something positive. Not selective. What I want to remember, what I don't want to. Let's hear them. I end up producing them. So I will remember them because I allow my mind to have them. And if you are fortunate enough to have what they call a photographic memory, when you see something or you hear somebody talking, it sticks in your mind. You can reproduce it as is. You are one of those scarce people. You have a photographic mind. You don't forget easily what you said or what the other person has said to you. But because that is most of the time. Oh, this thing is kicking me out. That is the mind that keeps most of the time wrong things. That is why sometimes you have people who can say all all the wrong things from 1900 when it started. Hey, you said this to me. One day you did this to me. One day you did. Children can do that to parents. Husbands and wives can do the very wrong way. I always say to people, if you have that mind, don't use it negatively, use it positively. I'm saying this to you. Use it positively. Keep all the good things in your memory. The good things like your studies, the good things like beautiful things that you out, beautiful that you can write in your memoirs, beautiful things. But if you remember all the negative things, you are going to feel hurt. This thing is kicking me out, and I'm trying to rush my time here. You are going to feel hurt to your memory. You are damaged. You do that. It raises the received message. At this point, critical listeners critically evaluate the text. When you give me a text to read, or when I'm listening to you, I'm able to can evaluate quickly. When we started, I was telling you that when people say wrong ways or places the wrong genre into wrong right places, have, has, had, having, and so on, she, he, and so on, then you say you are listening, you are evaluating at that stage. That's the mind that does that. Why is your mind able to do this? Because you have enough vocabulary and you know the stages of the grammar, you know the stages of listening, they are in you. You are not going to say, oh, now I remember, oh, now I'm trying to evaluate. No, it's automatic, it's in your mind, you're going to do it. I think I'm loud. It's like I'm having a whole class in front of me. Final stage of responding. Depending on the response, a speaker can assess whether the message was received as intended. During this stage, receive the process by giving feedback that is either verbal or non-verbal. You sometimes you're busy listening. You are listening and you are responding, even if you don't. But in your mind, you are saying a lot. I know that you are saying a lot, and at the same time, you are thinking about so many things. Try to remember the positive. Try to remember the positive things. Already, your mind tells you what is happening. So you try by all to listen, but there are things that are coming in and disturbing you. What is speaking? Speaking is the delivery of language through the mouth. I've been speaking right now. To speak, we create sounds, units of our body, including the lungs, vocal tracts, vocal cords, tongue, teeth, and lip. When you go to your study language, speaking is usually the second language skill that we learn. We have been saying that. Speaking is probably the language skill that most language learners should teach. Any language that you want to learn, you want to perfect. And please do that. Perfect that language as much as you can. It used to be the only language skill that was difficult to practice online. This is no longer the case. You can practice language online because in the past you were supposed to listen to the person, hear what this person is saying, look at the lips, how they pronounce the words, then you learn the language. English learners can practice speaking online using voice or video chats and services like Skype. They can also record and upload their voice for other people too. You're going to a work interview and you want to practice you want to be sure you don't let them assume that you can tell so much about the job. You have applied for this job and you know what is it I want you to do because of reading from the job spec. Now, relevant to the job spec, and you practice how you're going to answer. You practice that your voice is not dull. You're not going to ask like when they say good morning Mrs. Dorodoro, then, or they say good morning ma'am, good morning, they know that you are Miss Dorodoro. Good morning Miss Dorodoro, and you say good morning. What is that? You already, they look at you, love some coffee or tea. Fine. Oh, whoa. Already they understand that. Mhm. Already they understand that you are angry with the interpret your voice. Okay. They will interpret your voice. But now, if you are prepared, so I've explained that you can train yourself. The other time I said to you class that my preference of interview is for you to do the practicals of the job that you say you can do. If you can say you can write minutes, we should give you a laptop or a computer to quickly write the minutes for us, to show us that you can type. You can even take the minutes because you say you have been secretary for 5 years somewhere. Now you have the experience. So let us see if you can do that. That's that interview. Now, speaking can be formal or informal. Informal speaking is typically used with family and friends or people you know well. I cannot do that because I don't even know you. You might know speaking is in business or academic situation. Academic situations or when meeting people for the first time. That is very formal. Good evening, Mr. So-and-so. Good evening, Miss So-and-so. Good evening, class. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That it can flow naturally from one person to another in the form of dialogue. It can also be planned speech or presentation. Yes, some people talk to themselves. In fact, some English learners practice speaking standing alone in front of a mirror. That's how much you take your work serious. If you're going to give a speech, you talk to yourself, you practice how you're going to present it, how you're going to be able to make sure that people hear you and understand you. I see my minutes are gone now, but I'm almost done. We spend a lot of time talking to people. What you will see for each situation, a lot of time talking to people. I repeated this by mistake, not by mistake, on purpose, so that it lingers in your mind. We spend a lot of time to different registering on every day you go to work. You meet people in the bus. You meet people all over it. It's a different register of people. When we speak, we produce language by using the mouth, vocal tracts, vocal cords, and so on. A good example would be speech delivered. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you very much for being there, and have a lovely evening further.